Look at the striations! Can't see them right now, they're hidden. Appreciate all the support lately. You know, shout out Paris. Appreciate you bought on me, man. All that you do for the community. Been instrumental in bringing the Noble Natties together for sure. So I got a lot of likes on the comments, and I owe you guys a video. So the top 10 movements I would do to speedrun my physique, much like Sam Sheetar, my physique is a product of me training for strength and performance, not necessarily me trying to build a physique. So it is what it is. However, I'm not going to detour. I'm going to go ahead with the movements. But I will make an alternate separate video loosely based on this after this one. So I'm going to also cheat. I'm going to throw squat, bench, and deadlift out. That's obvious. Those three have been the meat and potatoes of where I've gotten to now. So I'm just, for the name of making a video and being a little more creative, we're going to throw those out the window. Just understand that those are probably the three biggest movements that have got me to where I've gotten. So I'm going to start with block pulls. My first coach I hired had me do block pulls back 2015, 2016. Something I wish I knew about even sooner than that. Especially for us longer torso, shorter limb guys. It allows us to get a lot more hinging and pulling volume in, working that pattern, working those muscles without generating too much fatigue from being in a really bad position, pulling a deadlift off the floor. So block pull is something I would go back and probably spam a little bit more volume. Front squats huge for me. Great quad builder, great upper back, core, just a great overall movement, something I've been doing forever now. I do tend to go with the SSB a little bit more these days. As you know, I do the cross arm front squats, and sometimes it can get a little squirrely when it's loaded heavy, and it's just safer risk reward at this point for me to use the SSB and get similar results. However, there's no replacing the front squat. Overhead press, of course. You know, my shoulders are a defining feature. My traps are a defining feature, and OHP definitely helps in both of those areas. It's not like a direct trap movement, but anytime I've focused on OHP, my traps have always responded pretty well to having those thrown in the mix. I'm going to say cable rows / face pulls. Face pulls are kind of a cable row, with the emphasis on face pulls. Again, my traps, a lot of them I owe to face pulls. I do any upper body day I'm in the gym, I'm doing face pulls. Even at my my garage setup here at work, I'll do banded face pulls. And I've really always, you know, they're great for shoulder health, don't get me wrong, but I've really focused on that mind-muscle connection with my traps and emphasizing my traps and trying to squeeze my traps together with face pulls. I've never done shrugs in my life. I've done some high pulls, but not enough to really matter, and of course the deadlifts. But face pulls are probably the biggest reason for my traps, aside from the compound movements. And I've done a lot of seated cable rows, a lot of different, I'm going to throw like lat pull downs in this category. Just anything pulling with a cable I've done a lot of, and I would certainly go to again. Weighted planks, I've got a strong core. It actually shows now that I'm lean, but it's always been strong. And weighted planks, if you're a power lifter, weighted planks are the premier, you know, core movement. Obviously you're working your core with the compounds, but for core specific movement and for specific strength that's going to translate directly to your lifts, there is nothing that's going to beat the weighted plank, in my opinion, for that. Jumps, for me, it's mostly been box jumps, obviously, because it's, you know, the easy landing up top elevated. I've noticed my quads they always tend to pop a little bit more when I've got some sort of plyometrics in the mix. So definitely jumps. Pull-ups, I know I've been emphasizing them a lot more lately, but it's something I've always done. You can go back and see me doing them when I was fat. Obviously, I couldn't do them with the same volume I do now, but there's always something I've been in there. Again, my back, you guys have seen what it looks like now that I'm shredded. A lot of those muscles have been developed again through the deadlifts, through the block pulls, and those things. The pull-ups have just been that extra little stank to put on it. Hamstring curls. There's a reason that athletes focus on hamstring curls a lot and hamstring work in general. For physique, I know Paris mentioned John Meadows and the hamstring and physique. But for me, it's always been, the quads are for show, the hamstrings are for go. And I've always done hamstring curls. They're fantastic. And then last but not least, no, I've got two more. Something I've done lately that I would have implemented sooner is weighted carries of varying kinds. I've particularly grown fond of Zercher carries with the yoke, but any sort of weighted carries, like Husafel stones, sandbags, a lot of them where you're holding them in front, farmer carries, suitcase carries, etc., etc. These are just absolutely phenomenal and destroy you in the best ways. And, they work all sorts of different muscles at the same time. Just building that brutal, ogre strength and conditioning. You can work them super heavy for short periods. You can work them very light for extended periods and anything in between. They're just phenomenal. Y'all know what number one is. Come on, man.